pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing today, Jared?
Fantastic, Mr. Ali. How are you, my friend?
Great, man. We got some snow coming down, ready for the winter. And
Don't remind me of that. I could do without snow.
And I'm just ready. I'm ready for anything that comes our way.
Yeah, I am excited and humbled, to be honest with you. One, for what we've created and the partnership that's developed, and two, the community that's following us and actually leading within the community coming off that workshop last weekend. I can't tell you how humbled we are that you trust us and that you're on this journey with us. So I thank all of you that attended, and those of you that weren't sure, we'll have a video of the feedback coming up so that you get into the next one.
Yeah. I had such a great time at the workshop, meeting everybody who came by, and it was just badass overall. It was just so cool to see. Many of them were complete strangers, and so many people to be able to come up, show up with passion and be vulnerable. And we got deep, we had some laughs, we had some tears, we had some motivation, some inspiration. We all left with a blueprint, I got mine here in my bag, and I thought it was a great success.
And now we leave knowing our own path to who we want to become and how we want to get there. And what I loved is meeting the people that listen to the show, some that I've already known, some that I met for the first time, and just hearing the common themes of community and realizing they're not alone, and that all of us pretty much go through all these feelings on this journey we call life, and that it's okay to not be your best all the time. And it's okay to want more, and there's a community ready to embrace you if that's the path you're on.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of our attendees shared information afterwards, keeping in touch with each other. I know my brother Amir was very grateful for attending, even though it was an issue for him, or he thought it was going to be an issue to get up, 6 a.m., drive up from Denver, be there by 8 a.m.
Right.
He was really happy that he did, even though I know he may have had some doubts of anything to get up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. He may have some doubts. Is it really worth it, right? But we had a great time, and some of our review today is going to be reviewing not only the workshop, but our last episode of Bad Days. We had a first time ever. In 9 months?
9 months, we took a week off.
First time ever.
Yep.
To really
episode.
Reflect. No episode.
No recording. And it was great. And it wasn't great because we didn't create an episode. To me, it wasn't great because we had more time. Like, you and I met at the same time we'd normally record, and we checked in with each other. And we cleared up any confusion, or I was feeling a certain way, so let me tell you how I'm feeling, you tell me how you feel. And honestly, it was needed.
Yeah.
For 9 months we had been get together, crush a podcast, work the workshop, share. And I think, as in any relationship, it's important to check in and make sure you're both still on the same page.
Yeah, definitely. It was so important that there was talks of potentially even ending the podcast, right? After the workshop of really parting ways, and we really had to get deep into our conversation, check in and see, okay, what is the purpose, right?
Yeah.
Of what we're doing every single week. And I think that conversation, that crucial conversation that we had, only strengthened the purpose of what we're doing here, and really strengthened the philosophy that we have for crucial conversations moving forward.
Yeah, and I would even take it a step further is that it strengthened the relationship behind everything, right? Because you think, in my reflection back, I didn't know you super well when I came to you and was like, hey, let's do this podcast. I need you to trust me. It's going to work. I need you to be the team. Like, we're the team. You bought in. You're like, let me give it a shot. And then it started working. And because it was working, we didn't necessarily go get lunch anymore. We weren't having dinners. We were literally working, showing up, doing a podcast, getting good results, and going forward. And it was important to come back and just check in, because I think too many times people have success and they just assume everything's fine because, well, it was a good result.
Yeah.
Well, underlying, was it a good result? And if you only do what you've been doing to that same success, you start capping how much success you can truly have, because your habits go to a certain level. And we both want more in all aspects of life: the podcast, the workshops, our partnership together, our relationships outside of here. So I think it's critically important that you're able to come together and reflect every now and then and take, like we talk about on the show all the time, take inventory.
Right.
Are you happy with this? Is this serving you? Is it meeting your needs? Is it meeting my needs? And then be honest when it's not, instead of letting things fester.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I think that oftentimes when you have success, there's even a really famous quote out there that I disagree with is, if it's working, don't change it. And I challenge our listeners and each other to
Yeah.
always try and see how you can improve, right? Even if things are going well and working. We had a great podcast, and in our crucial conversation, or a great workshop, I'm sorry, in our crucial conversation, even though we got phenomenal feedback, we have some awesome testimonial videos. Jared and I both talked, and we're like, man, we really could have improved here,
Yeah.
here, instead of being like, oh, that was great, man, let's do it again. We're gonna run another one here in a couple months. There's a lot of things that we could improve on.
And I think that's true in life. A lot of us know we want more. There's certain things we desire. There's talents we know we have that we don't put on display, or we don't even explore anymore, because we have success.
Hmm.
We have a career, we have benefits, we have a routine, right? And I would even say for many people, it's not success, it's a routine and comfort. They have a routine, they do the same things the same time all the time, they grocery shop at the same store, they do this, they do that. It's a routine which creates comfort, which gives a facade of success. But for many people, I think underneath, there's unhappiness. There's a desire to be more, to do more, to share more. But they don't have those conversations.
Yeah.
Because here's something I want to throw at you. Can you have a crucial conversation with yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right? It's being honest with yourself, looking in the mirror and going, man, I'm letting you down.
Yeah.
Right? You're looking in the mirror and going, man, I let you down today. I let you down this last week. You have this desire to do more. You have, we're sharing before we got on here, relationships. You
Hmm.
have a desire for more in this. Did your behavior lead up to that, or did you let yourself down, or are you fulfilling it? And I think too many times we look at as a crucial conversation or a critical conversation as something that comes from our boss, something that comes from a parent. And to me, you can't have those unless you have crucial conversations with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. Those might be the most crucial
Because
conversations
if you're not
to
having
have
them,
with
what are you
yourself.
doing?
Yeah.
Lying to yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, let's do a little quick review of our purposeful practice of 2 weeks ago. First time ever that I'm
Yeah.
saying that. 2 weeks ago, from our bad days episode. What were the reflections that you had on that, Jared?
On the bad days, honestly, I just, it was interesting because that episode seemed to get a lot of feedback, or at least a lot of conversation started in my circles. And I got challenged a little bit. People were like, you don't really think you have bad days. And I said, no, I think you just have bad moments, and how you handle them determines if it's an entire 24-hour period or if it's
Right.
a short block. And I just realized that's kind of how I live my life. I have ups and downs every day, just like all of us. I just don't stay there.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get better at sharing that practice on how do we not stay there, and really letting people know that is an option, because you can choose to stay in the moment
Hmm.
and lose a day, or you can choose to learn something from it and move forward.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, I agree. I reflected on it. I think on the episode that I said I rarely ever had bad days. And I think what I meant is that I rarely ever consider an entire day to be bad, right? But I've been reflecting on it more, and I've realized that I do have a lot of quote unquote bad moments. Some in my control, some out of my control, but it's really how I choose to react to them, and really what has really enabled me to appreciate bad days is realizing that a lot of quote unquote bad adversity, struggle, the more difficult path, obstacles are what builds me up, what makes me greater. I just read a chapter in one of the books I'm reading right now. It's called The Obstacle is the Way,
Yeah.
and it was talking about man, I forget, to be honest. It was either one of the Roosevelt presidents. I think it was Theodore Roosevelt. How, man, he had a tough
Talk about being
life.
in a wheelchair and stuff.
Yeah, being in a wheelchair, his wife died, and all of this stuff, back to back to back to back, speech impediments, just a lot of tough life, and he is so grateful for all of the adversity that he had because it made him the person that he was. And his father was the type of person who was like, yeah, we can build you up. His father made him a workout program to get out of the wheelchair, and a lot of hard stuff, and that the worst thing you can do to yourself is give yourself the easy path, right? So I've been a lot more appreciative of kind of some of the bad, right? To where, like, I know that's going to make me stronger, that's going to make me better. So it's a really good reflection on what is a bad day, really,
Yeah.
right? We can be grateful for that obstacle, for those adversities.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like we've talked about before, on the other side of that is your growth,
Hmm.
is you're finding your true potential and how you respond to those things. So yeah, I just truly believe you have bad moments and then you grow from them and you have great days.
Love it. Love it. So, quicker review of the workshop, guys. We were listening to some of these testimonials. Again, thank you for everybody who came out early on a Saturday morning. No, that's tough to do sometimes. We had a great time, and some things that really kept coming up of what people, one of the biggest takeaways, some of the biggest takeaways that people had from the workshop ties back into what we're always preaching around here is your circle of five, your
Yeah.
environment, who you surround yourself with. And so I think almost everyone who did a testimonial commented on they really loved that sense of community, the sense that they felt that they weren't alone, and realized that so many people from so many different walks of life. We have people of different ages, different cultures, different careers, different races, very different people in the workshop, that many of them had very similar problems,
Yeah.
very similar trauma, similar abuse, similar adversity, similar obstacles, similar addictions, all the above. And everybody felt really comfortable knowing that, hey, we're in a community to where we're choosing to open up,
Yeah.
be really vulnerable, and in that we saw how similar we are as people.
And I think that's the key because we also found out that we all had similar successes
Hmm.
and similar obstacles that we overcame in our past, and that we didn't have to be embarrassed by those or ashamed of them, but it was okay to share them because they were going through the same process. And I think Missy in her testimonial said it best: is we're, as humans, we are so much alike that when you actually sit down and share the stories, we're all going through the same things, and that it feels good to actually admit that and to be around other people that are willing to admit it instead of staying behind the facade that everything's great, everything's okay, nothing bothers you. And at the end of the day, not only did we share and made friends and learn to respect one another and to appreciate each other, we also left with the knowledge that it's okay to want more in life, that other people actually want more. And here is my actual plan to achieve more. And then in turn, I share that with somebody else to inspire them to want more. So it was just amazing to see the community. And honestly, for me, it was awesome to see you see that it worked.
Mm.
And for you to see like, okay, we are making this work, because I had this vision. I talked to you about the vision of where we could take this, what we could bring, but you hadn't seen it,
Hmm.
and I think the biggest credit, one of the testimonies was that if they didn't know us personally, that this was the first one we put on, they would have no idea it was the first one we put on.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I hadn't seen you speak in that format.
Right.
You hadn't seen me. Like, we literally took a leap. We had a conversation. We shared a dream. We bought in to support each other on it, to know that your strengths play off my strengths, and that together we can both be successful. We don't have to fear each other's success. And then we trusted the process. And to see that is what I was most proud of, probably, is to sit back and be like, okay, I had a vision and it's real.
Mm.
And not only that, but I could share it with you, and you can see that this is possible. This is real.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was a very special moment, and I remember reflecting a lot after that, and it was nice for me to see you in your element. You know, before the workshop, we were discussing really how to be a team
Hmm.
in presenting, and I felt excited to share some of my ideas and insights, which you definitely welcomed. But it was nice to be like, you know what, you've done this before. You've been doing workshops for the police community, and even with Team Hardy,
Yeah.
and doing these types of things. So it was really cool to see you in your element and really take the leadership role there. And I'm excited to combine a lot of what we've been talking about for these next ones.
Yeah, for sure. And it's only gonna get better. And I think it's gonna get better for the community, because we're continuing to grow, which helps create accountability. It creates um, a responsibility, I'd almost say. If you've been to this workshop, the thing I'd want you to do least is go home and sit on your information.
Hmm.
Get out, take action in your own life, and then share it with somebody else. Because we shared our dreams, it helped them see their dreams. They shared their dreams. Now somebody else can see that it's okay. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to be involved with things that allow people to see that dreams come true.
Hmm.
Like Walt Disney. Right? I think Disney says that, right? Like, that's part of their catch line or catchphrase. And I know it sounds corny, and people will be like, "Oh, you're goofy," or whatever. But I literally believe that dreams can come true,
Oh yeah,
because I see mine happening, and I get to be part of yours and see yours happening.
yeah.
And
Well, it takes consistent work, the visualization, and that dream was realized what, after 33 weeks of and even before that,
yeah,
that was something that had been in your head that you've been executing, and for a long time. And for me too, even though it wasn't that specific dream, like I've envisioned myself teaching purpose, guiding others,
yeah.
speaking, been in Toastmasters for 7 years, been doing these things, to where it's been a culmination, a process of both of our dreams coming together.
And I think that's the key, is we both had dreams, yet we are open to how would they manifest themselves, right? Like, we didn't even know each other when we both started thinking down this path.
Yeah.
Is it ironic we met? Is it ironic you joined the first circle of five that I threw out?
Right.
Is it ironic you started leading within the group? Right? Like, too many times people dismiss how the universe works, and how good energy attracts positive energy, and how you share a dream, it attracts other dreamers.
Hmm.
But this relationship right here, this podcast, this show, is an exact demonstration of what happens if you believe in yourself.
Right.
What happens if you share that with somebody else? What happens if you put out what your dream is to the world? It just works.
Yeah. Amazing things happen. Amazing things happen. Well, I think that we did. Is there anything else you want to cover specifically about the reviewing of the workshop?
No, I'm humbled and blown away at the response. And trust me, we're gonna sit down and plan out 2020. And if you thought you should have been there, you definitely don't want to miss 2020, because they will only get better, guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Thanks again to everybody who came out. We had an awesome time. So the title of this episode is "Ending the On Purpose Podcast: Crucial Conversations." And Jared and I are going to be vulnerable here and share a little bit about the conversation that we had about whether or not we want to continue, because both Jared and I have so much going on
Yeah.
to where leading up to the workshop, it was a little stressful, and without having those crucial conversations, we didn't really know where each other were at.
Right.
Jared shared some things with me that I wasn't aware he was thinking, feeling, vice versa, because we have a lot of things going on, and sometimes when you don't have those crucial conversations, these assumptions are just going to live there and
Yeah.
stay there until you have that
Well,
conversation.
not only that, they become real,
Mm,
right? Like if you and I don't talk, and I say, "Hey, here's how I'm feeling about this specific thing. Tell me, like, how do you see this?" If I don't give you the opportunity to tell me how you see this issue that I see, and I just assume you see it a certain way, or you're doing certain things because of whatever I feel, one, it's unfair to you. Two, it may not be true. And three, it then becomes its own reality,
mm, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's a reality only in my head because I never told you. I
right.
never talked about it. I never even got your perspective on it.
Mm. That is a quote that I do agree with. Perception is reality.
Absolutely, it is. And how many of our listeners, how many of our community members know, like every day they wake up knowing they should have a conversation and they don't do it?
Yeah,
I've been guilty of it.
right.
But what is the cost of not having these conversations?
It's vital. It's vital. Why don't we take a step back and
Yeah.
how would you define a crucial conversation
Just that.
just in general?
It's a conversation that you wake up every day knowing you should have with somebody.
Mm, yeah.
Like, I think about a crucial conversation to me is emotional. It's causing me angst, maybe anger, maybe fear, frustration. It's causing me the emotions that weigh me down every day.
Yeah.
So I know I should talk to you about it. I know I should talk to Andrea about it. I know I should talk to somebody about this, but I don't.
Hmm. When do you know you need to have the conversation? Because I know
Yeah.
sometimes it is, you said, emotional,
Yeah.
right? And we've talked about the podcast how sometimes it may not be the best idea to have an important conversation with somebody when you're very emotional.
Yeah.
So when do you think it is the best time to have a crucial conversation?
I think it depends on your relationship. Like for you and I, the workshop was a milestone for us. It was 9 months of work, weekly doing podcasts, doing episodes, running all this behind the scenes stuff. So it's not the time to have a crucial conversation the week of the podcast or the week of the workshop.
Mm,
Get through your milestone, sit back, reflect, because then, so for us, we have all the data at that point, right? We have 9 months of episodes. We have the one workshop. Then we can both sit down and go, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't feeling good to me. Or, yeah, let's go. This is great because we both know what we know.
mm-hmm.
So for our relationship, I think you had a milestone that you needed to get through to have that conversation
Yeah.
so that you can make informed decisions.
Yeah. And what's funny is I think both of us were feeling that we
Oh,
needed
for
to have
sure.
that conversation too. Even though we had a task at hand that we're like, hey, we need to get this done. We need to get the milestone done before
Yeah.
having that. That's a great example.
But I think that's this relationship. I think there's other relationships, and maybe that's when do you have the conversation? I think it depends on the basis of the relationship.
Hmm.
Um, but I would venture to say the majority of people that listen know if they don't have a crucial conversation, it ends up tormenting that relationship forever.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you? What do you think?
I think you're exactly right that it depends on the relationship, and that as soon as it becomes a crucial conversation, like you said, to where it's on your mind every day,
Yeah.
you need to start preparing for what you're going to say for that conversation, right? And what it is that you want to share, because when we had ours,
Yeah.
you didn't necessarily have a specific outcome,
No.
right, in mind, but you knew what you wanted to say and what
Yeah.
you wanted to share and how things were feeling.
Yeah.
So one example, we can dig into it here, that you had shared with me was that you had some people reach out about my actions
Hmm.
that that was a reason for them not to want to come to the workshop.
Right.
That was one thing you shared, and you had shared two other things. Um, the night of the workshop, preparing, and a few other things, to where you knew what you were going to share, and then what, with me knowing that, how I felt about that, you letting me know that helped change kind of your perspective of how
For
you
sure.
viewed that,
And I
and
think
vice
that's a
versa.
key, right? We didn't have this conversation with, this is how I feel, this is how it is, deal with it. We came in, we sat down, I told you, here's what I saw, what I thought, and then I listened, and you talked.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, let's take 2 days. We'll reconvene and see. Right. So we allowed ourselves to process it. And I think that's a strategy. If you're having crucial conversations, don't walk into them expecting a certain outcome. Be open to the outcome, because there's two humans involved.
Hmm.
And just because I see something this way doesn't mean I'm right.
Hmm.
And I think if anything in my life, that's where I've improved the most, is realizing I'm wrong a ton.
Hmm.
Just because you think something doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah.
Just because you believe something doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah. I mean, we all are.
Absolutely.
Speaking on Roosevelt, he actually said, if I can be right 50% of the time, I'm in great shape. And that's someone who was the president of the United States.
For sure.
He acknowledges that half the time he's probably wrong. That's big.
Yeah, and I think that that process, that, okay, let me tell you, boom, here it is. Now I'm just gonna listen. I'm not even gonna talk.
Hmm.
You tell me, okay, I heard you. We asked clarifying questions to make sure we both truly understood,
Right.
and then we walked away.
Right.
And we
And for me
spent two
too.
days
Hmm.
appreciating each other's opinions and being like, wait a second, man, Ali said this. Man, I think he's right. I think I was wrong.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
we didn't have to have a decision right here, right now, to where you make the wrong decision, or you're making a decision that's not in the best interest. You take the time to reflect, and then you reconvene.
Yeah.
And too many people, I think, in today's world want to make decisions right now all the time,
Hmm.
without all the information, without all the processing. And if we had to make a different decision that morning, right then, who knows what we'd have done.
Right. Right. Is there anything specific from the conversation that you want to share with the community that maybe can
Yeah,
be a good
here, I mean,
example
we'll
of
just
that?
share this, right? Like, I felt that I was doing all the prep work,
Hmm.
and you were socializing.
Hmm.
Fair as on the outside, that's how I saw it. But then when you shared, like, hey, dude, you've done this so many times, I didn't want to get in the way, or
Hmm.
I didn't want to step right. I was respecting your space, so I kind of stepped back to allow you to run it. I'm like, well, that actually makes sense,
Hmm.
because if you'd have tried to do too much, then I wouldn't have known, okay, I know this formula makes success. Like, did you see what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you respected, so you're respecting space. I'm taking as he's not working hard.
Right.
When the reality is, you did exactly what would make us most successful. Is, okay, you run this,
Hmm.
we'll do it together, and then we'll reconvene and we'll create it different the next time.
Right.
Because now you have the experience. And once you said that, I was like, damn, dude, like, he's right. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly how that should be.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to a place that's your strength, I'd be like, dude, you run this, tell me what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. And that helped me see too that I could have, how where I could have improved too, is like, is there anything else more that I can do, right? What, like, do you need to check it in a little bit more to where it made sense when, I was out with some of the fight team
Yeah.
playing poker night the night before the podcast, while you're staying up late making the final tweaks. Into my head, I'm kind of like, oh, I already let Jared know,
Yeah.
hey, I think you should really take the lead on this, and I'm
Right.
going to chime in because I have a few ideas that I want to put, but I don't
Right.
want to I don't want to
Yeah,
mess
yeah.
up your flow too much, kind of thing.
Right.
To where, like, I was like, all right, I'm good, and then. But in Jared's position, he up late. We got to be up early. Then it made sense to me. Like, oh, okay, I can see how that could be
Yeah.
like, this motherfucker ain't doing shit. What's going
It's out
on over
playing
here?
poker.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. To where it was like, man, to where it was good to have that communication. And I think it also too, um, you had made a comment that there was a person or two who were thinking about coming to the workshop, and then that week I was at a trade show and an after party event that made
Yeah.
it look like, they don't know the full story. That
Yeah.
made it look like I'm just partying, right?
Yeah.
I was running a dab bar
Yeah.
and sampling some cannabis concentrates from some different companies, and of course, I'm high energy, getting out, hey, you want to take a dab?
Yeah.
And I posted some videos on Facebook to where some people doubted my capability
Yeah.
of being able to run a workshop because they saw these videos of me serving concentrates. And I shared with you, well, if someone has that type of mentality, then I don't want to be with them in the workshop anyways.
Yeah.
And when we were able to have that conversation, it was definitely, at least it seemed like, a perspective shifter for you as well.
No, dude, it hit me in the heart. It literally hit me in the heart, and I was mad at myself. I literally was. I was mad at myself that I was like, I knew your business.
Mhm.
I value your perspectives. I value that we're different. And I think the community benefits from the fact we're not the same. So I was disappointed in myself that a couple people said they wouldn't come because of what they saw you doing, and that I gave that weight. Because the reality is, if they're closed-minded to where they don't want to come without knowing the full story of you, I probably don't want them there either.
Mhm.
That they're probably part of the world that I left because everybody was seeing things the exact same way and judging. You know what I mean? And I felt disappointed in myself that I didn't respect your path or respect you enough to be like, hey, dude, cool, we don't need you there.
Mhm.
That I got so worried that two people didn't think they wanted to come that I was now looking at you with a more critical eye
Right.
and being like, why you do, instead of being like, dude, be you, man. Like, I love you
Yeah.
and all that you bring. And it doesn't mean I have to agree with everything. Like, we disagree on marijuana. It's fine.
Mhm.
But who am I to say, dude, you can't do that because of this workshop? You got to change who you are because we're leading people here. No, that's the exact opposite of what we've been doing for 9 months.
Yeah.
We get to lead people and share with people because of who we are and exactly what we do. And the
Right.
fact we do it differently than everybody else, not everybody's going to like us.
Mhm.
And I don't know how I lost sight of that, but I think in the build up and the pressure and my God, like, this was a dream. Is it really going to
Yeah.
work?
Definitely.
I let myself drift that way.
Hmm. And that's why the crucial conversations are so crucial, because it can be easy
Yeah.
when you get outside influence to start to doubt
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and to start to, shift of like, man, these people were going to come to the workshop and now they don't because Ali posted this and that.
Yeah.
Like, is Ali really the right partner kind of thing? To
Yeah.
where it's important to come back and really share, because sometimes you can get lost in the outside influence. You change up that environment, circle of five, it is going to affect you. Hopefully
Yeah.
a lot of our on purposers, are strong personalities rooted in their will, but environment and people will always affect you, to where it's very important to come back and check in with your core. I'm going to pass you this this charger here, if you don't mind, because we got a little low battery.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, very, very crucial, and I'm really grateful that you were able to share that, because it definitely isn't easy sometimes, especially when it's like, negative.
Well, but I think you got to be honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with those that you've turned to. And like I said, I was disappointed in myself because I saw greatness in you. I saw a person that I know can make others better because of who they are. To the point I sought you out. I pitched you on the idea before I even knew what pitch decks and shit were from you, which I learned from you. I pitched you.
Hmm.
And then I started selling you short. And I was disappointed in myself, man. I really was. And after we had our talk for the 2 days, I was like, okay, should we continue the show? Should I go my own way? Do you need to go your own way? What is the best for the people to follow us? What is the best? And that was resounding emotion I had was that I let you down. I was expecting you to start acting more like me and go into this area that's safer.
Mm,
That nobody's gonna they're not gonna raise concern. And I was like, that's the complete opposite of exactly what I wanted.
mm,
I don't if you're gonna be just like me and have opinions just like me and do just like me, we don't need two of us.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's that quote I love out there. If the people you're around agree with you all the time, there's no need for them.
Yeah.
And then I realized, how much have I learned from you because you see things differently? How much have I grown in these 9 months, not just sharing on the podcast, but from being around you?
Yeah.
And why part of that is scary. It is, right? You're just different than me. You do things differently. Your businesses are different. Your models are different. But that's okay because it's you.
Hmm.
And I was just disappointed in myself that under the pressure, under the weight of making this work, I didn't allow you to be you. And I guess that's the best way I could say that.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, because first of all, and we'll get to that. Why do we put off crucial conversations? I think it's because they're hard. Sometimes we prefer not to go the hard route.
Yeah.
But again, the obstacle is the way to more growth, and I really appreciate you bringing that up because same here. There's been things that I disagree with, but
Yeah.
I'm like, man, Jared was right on that. I learned from that. I learned from a lot of your concepts and your models, and really watching you in the workshop of like, man, really learning the way that you work and how you interact with people, and it's a synergistic relationship
Yeah.
to where we can both mutually benefit and grow from being so different. And the fact that you were able to come forth and just be totally real about like how you were feeling was that crucial conversation
Yeah.
that we needed for us to take that step forward, and for you to be able to say, because a lot of people will be stuck in their ways, right? For you to be able to say what you needed, listen, reflect,
Yeah.
and then even share like, I was a little disappointed in myself. That's huge.
No. Here's I'll even say that this was funny because when you and I had the conversation 2 days later, I had you on the headset, so I'm walking around the house, and Andrea's listening. I could just see her look at me, and I could see and feel from her she was proud of what I was saying, that I was wrong, that I wasn't necessarily right. And I think, honestly, that is why most people put off crucial conversations. It's because you could be fucking wrong.
Hmm.
You could be wrong. Your beliefs may not be right. Your opinion may not be right. So we put off crucial conversations at time because being wrong can be vulnerable. Admitting to you, dude, I was unfair to you, could be seen as weak. You could manipulate it against me in the future, right? No, I mean that's possible. That's what people think, which is part of why they don't have these conversations. Because what if you are wrong? What if your beliefs against a certain race, your whole life that somebody told you this race is bad, don't hang out with this race? What if you meet somebody from that race and they blow your mind? What if your whole life you were wrong? What if this religion isn't wrong? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have crucial conversations because we may be wrong. And if we're wrong, then we have to do hard work of change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I truly think that. I think we hide behind walls. We hide behind barriers. We hide behind limiting beliefs because some of us don't want to know what's on the other side. Right? But I'll tell you, for me, I don't grow. And I would say this is true for almost everybody. If you don't look over the wall to see what else is out there, you don't grow. You stay where you are. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to stay where I am. I want to grow every day. And you're a huge part of my growth. This community is an amazing part of my growth. And I was letting beliefs get into my head that was limiting my growth.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely, and likewise as well. Like that was a huge growth conversation for me too. To where, and I don't think you were necessarily wrong. I think that we just didn't have the crucial conversation to where it led to making assumptions instead of checking in and seeing
Yep,
where we're really at,
for sure.
right? And it was definitely a good growth conversation, not only for our relationship, but just to another affirmation of how important it is to have crucial conversations. So with this one, and for our listeners, what do we find the results to be
Yeah,
when we have crucial conversations? For this one, redefined redefined purpose, mission, clarity. I think clarity is a huge one.
yeah,
What do you think?
yeah. I think clarity is big, and I think understanding, um, understanding your point of view on things, understanding the mutual ground we have, and how each of us individually lead to that. I think that's my biggest thing, is just making sure we understand one another, and it's easy to get caught up in the product. It's easy to get caught up in meeting deadlines. It's easy to get caught up in the natural race of things, and you miss the opportunity to learn from each other and grow with each other. And that's truly what we're about. So for me, I think that's huge, is making sure that you have them when you know you need to have them, being open to listen to the other person's point of view, and then take action on it. Right? Because if you tell me how you're feeling about certain things and then I just dismiss it, or I don't follow up and say, okay, I got to shift here, we got to do something different here,
Yeah,
then we don't need to have it twice. Right? And that's one thing I would say. If you're having the same crucial conversation with the same people multiple times,
yeah,
you need different people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Crucial conversations aren't supposed to be a normal
No,
reoccurring thing. That's the
no.
reason why they're crucial.
Yeah, crucial means they're important to have,
Yeah.
and they have implications,
Hmm.
right? Because there's going to be a decision making point that changes things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely grateful for the conversation we had, and frankly, it was extremely crucial because we really had to ask ourselves, when you came to me, Jared, and said that about my career, I was like, well, I can't change that,
Yeah,
man. Like this is my career, this is my business, and if you want the podcast to go this direction, and I won't be able to be true to what I'm doing, then
yeah,
then maybe I'm not supposed to be a part of the podcast, right? And then on the other end too as well, I also had to think I also had to realize that there is a level of professionalism that we need to make sure is going to be around the podcast,
yeah,
and I also had to realize that, especially for events and workshops, like as a business partner, I need to be checking in,
yeah,
checking in, making sure like it's not just one time of like, hey, you gonna run it? Okay, cool. Like, where can
yeah,
I assist? Where can I help? Maybe a little bit more rehearsal on the back end instead of just kind of expecting um, you to handle you know most of everything we're presenting, and me come in where I need to. So it was definitely a really good learning
but
lesson.
and I think that's what I want listeners to. I don't want you guys listening to be like, oh, they're just talking about what they went through in a workshop. We are, because I think it's very applicable to almost everybody else's life.
It was a good lesson.
And here's what I love, and I hope you guys take this away. I listened to Ali, he listened to me, and then we both reflected on what we could do to make their points better. Right? He felt a certain way. Okay, so I can do this. That will make him feel better in that area. He listened to my. Okay, I can do more of this. That'll make him feel better. Does that make sense? We listened to each other and then came up with resolutions on how to make each other better. We didn't listen to each other to sit and go, okay, well, you said this. Nope, that was wrong. Your date was wrong. Right? We didn't sit and listen to be different. We truly listened to be better.
Hmm.
And that's what comes out of crucial conversations. If you open your mind to, okay, this relationship is so important to me that I'm going to tell them exactly how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling this way.
Hmm.
And then I'm going to listen to what he says. I'm going to reflect, and where I'm going to see what can I do to make his side better, and he's going to see what he can do to make my side better, so we meet in the middle where success is.
Right.
And many of our listeners, guaranteed, are in relationships that need to have crucial conversations.
Yeah.
And when you have those, please listen with an open mind on how can you help them with what they're telling you, not a scorecard of how you want to disprove every point so that you're right and they're wrong.
Right. Right. And it's important to be vulnerable because even in crucial conversations, some small things will go a long way. Right. Like Jared had expressed, like, man, when we did the walkthrough, I could smell the weed reeking off of you.
Yeah.
You know, to where like that was something that frustrated him. And I can understand, I can understand because he doesn't know my relationship with cannabis
Yeah.
to where I went to a 6:30 a.m. workout and I'm not even sure if I did, but maybe my jacket had some and even if I did hit a little bit of my high CBD flower afterwards, that's something that I can keep in mind for next time of like, especially if it's a high stress situation, like you don't need that extra thing just in your head, you know what I mean? To where that's an easy thing for me to do of like, make sure I'm not reeking like weed when we're coming into
But
into
it's
a
so
business
funny,
situation.
right? It's so funny because in my head, like I was like, I don't know, this is gonna work. I don't show up that way, and you were literally like, bro, it's a coat from my closet. Like, okay, in the future I won't pick that coat. And I was like, was it really as simple as a coat?
Mm-hmm.
Really, like take that. Like I could have literally walked away.
Yeah.
And been like, dude, this ain't gonna work. I'm out.
Yeah.
Over a coat.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but because I had perceived, and this is what okay, this is my experience. That means you're this. Without talking to you, like you're like, dude, I wasn't high. Like that's not how I roll. Like I gotta work all day. I don't get high before work. Blah blah blah. Without giving you a chance to tell me your side, what decisions do we make?
Right.
I mean, that's a great example, and it's funny because I was like, oh, this is awful, like this is terrible, and
He's
you're
coming
like,
in all stoned.
yeah, and you're like, dude, it's literally a coat.
Yeah.
It's literally a coat that I don't even know why it smells like that. Probably because of the trade show or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's reasonable, and it was one of those moments where I'm like, golly, it's literally a jacket, like. How, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, in my head, I'm just like, you're an idiot sometimes, dude. Not you. I'm saying that to myself.
Well, me too. I'm an idiot sometimes too.
I think we're both idiots, which is why we do stuff like this. But no, in all honesty and purposefulness for our community, crucial conversations need to happen for you to grow. They need to happen for you to succeed. And don't get me wrong, you can have success without having them. We had a great workshop. The feedback was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But underlying that success was some uncertainty, we're not sure we're both on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do another workshop in that framework and reach the exact same level of success. Or we can be honest with each other, share how we're feeling, redefine our partnership, realize that, hey, our relationship is solid enough. We can talk to each other about things we like and don't like. We'll respect one another enough to listen to each other. We'll reflect. We'll come back together to acknowledge, hey, you're right here, or hey, I still think we can make some improvements here. And then the next workshop is that much better because we're coming in on new ground. Mm-hmm. And so I want our listeners to realize, like, just because you may be successful now, don't let that be the ceiling for your success. Have the conversations you need to have so that you can have even more success. And that, to me, that's in my marriage too. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, Andrea and I have a successful marriage. We've been married 20 years. But we can be happier. We can have more happiness. Well, how do we get that? We talk about the things that are holding us back or that keep us at the same level of happiness so that we explore more. And I think that's the point most people need to take away is on the other side of crucial conversations is growth, happiness, success.
It's crucial, people. It is crucial. Well, I think we're ready to hop into some purposeful practice. Yeah, definitely. So this is some crucial practice here, guys. So make sure you get it done. There's growth on the other side of submitting your practice. First piece of the practice is to take inventory of crucial conversations you need to have that you've been putting off. And
Yeah.
I would bet you that everybody probably has at least one. At least one. So take inventory of that. And then step two, when was your last crucial conversation and how did it turn out? Reflect on that. And the last part is, what are the potential outcomes if you do or don't have those crucial conversations? And actually, the real last part is, make sure that after you do this reflection and write it out and think about it, email us your findings of your purposeful practice to onpurpose.official@gmail.com.
Yeah, absolutely. We love reviewing those, giving you feedback, and just watching our community grow. So please do us a favor. Get on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Podcast Addict, which I didn't even know was a thing, but they love
Yeah,
you
me
guys
neither.
so much they picked us up, which we're fantastically grateful for. Give us a like, a review, subscribe, share. Please help us grow this community so that we have more people living on purpose. And Ali, I want to tell you, man, I appreciate you. I value you. And I'm sure that won't be the last critical conversation we have, because we're human.
Yep.
But what I hope the community takes away is we practice what we preach. And there's nothing we'll ever share with you guys that we don't believe in living ourselves. So with that, I want to make sure you guys all know life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. You guys have a great week, and we will see you soon.